Everyone, welcome to the Minuteman, this episode 7.5 of the Minuteman podcast. I'm Ian.
And I'm Brad. And today we're talking about stuff. Nick is not joining us today because he is under the weather. So just us two today.
Yep.
Enjoying cigars and
Space Dust.
Space Dust, which they now sell in town.
Really?
Yes, I bought this in town.
That is my favoriteest beer of all time.
Oh, yes, I didn't know it was your favoriteest beer of all time.
100%. Yes, that is my favoriteest beer of all time.
This is one of my favorites. It's delicious. Space Dust. It's brewed in Washington, I think.
Oregon, I thought.
Oregon?
Yeah, Elijah. I think Elijah's out of Oregon, I believe. Elijah.
Seattle, Washington.
All right.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, Seattle, Washington, Fairfield, California, Fort Collins, Colorado, Cartersville, Georgia, and Merrimack, New Hampshire.
Interesting. So, I was completely wrong.
I guess they have lots of locations. Well, I think they've gotten pretty big now.
They, with good reason. Like I said, man, that's just.
However, well, I don't know how you. Okay, so go off on a tangent here.
Yeah.
Since we're on beer,
Let's do it.
have you had the dank dust?
No, I have not. I've had goat. I've had goat dust though.
I don't know what goat dust is.
It's like Space Dust, but it's got a goat. It's a little bit more of a juicy than it is in an IPA.
Okay.
Yeah.
The dank dust has like extra hops and some other stuff. It's supposed to taste a little bit like marijuana.
Oh.
I don't like it personally.
Right.
But other people might. I know other people that like it, but it was a little bit too much for me.
Yeah, I remember the first time I ever had Space Dust. A buddy of mine in San Diego was like, "Hey, I just found this beer." He's like, "You have to try it." I was like, "Okay," because I had started getting into this. Was like when microbrews were starting to like really hit their peak, right? Like that was starting to become a thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you gotta try this. And I took one sip of it. I was like, this stuff is terrible. I was like, this stuff is just absolutely, it's so like punches you in the face so hard. And he's like, no, that's the best part about it. I'm like, I don't know, man. And I've never been really a big beer guy. I've always been a hard alcoholic. I like scotches, I like whiskeys. Like that's my deal. But anyway, so over time, him not having anything other than this, when we go to hang out, I ended up starting to really like it. And from, I distinctly remember being like, oh, sweet, Space Dust, and actually actively seeking it out at the store. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Hey, you got anything that we can catch our ash in? Just thought about
No, I don't.
I don't want to just let it drop on your floor.
Maybe right in there.
Okay.
Yeah, right there.
All right.
So this is a treeless, what do they call it? It's like a treeless fire. They're made in Maine, basically. It's like egg cartons and beeswax. And yeah, it's pretty cool. You can boil water over it, stuff like that. I just have it for, ambiance.
It's nice. Gives off some good heat. Maybe we should have lit our cigars with it.
There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll be honest with you. At this point in the game, that's actually going to be the first topic I kind of want to go over is fitness. I've been actually on a strict diet of White Claws. This is the first actual beer that I've had in.
Oh, I didn't mean to break your.
No, I have a few in there. If I really, really wanted to, I would have switched it out. But yeah, I've been drinking White Claws, and I know that everybody makes fun of it. But here's the deal. So over the last month and a half, I've dropped 15 pounds, and that's from working out religiously. So for those of you that don't know, I'm currently working 60 hours a week. So I'm working 5/8, but they're actually 12 because I have to be on call. But I live 20 miles from where I'm working, so can't exactly come home. So I'm stuck at either patrol or in my office for 12 hours a day. So what I've been doing is I've been waking up about an hour and a half early, getting on the treadmill, running for a couple of miles, getting a shower, changing, going to work, working my 8-hour shift, and then as soon as my 8-hour shift is up and I go to on-call time, there's a gym that we have at the PD, which is not actually a gym yet. It's just a bunch of free weights. like, it's all disorganized and everything, but I've been using free weights and my strength bands, and they have a treadmill in there, and then I'll work out for, hour 45 minutes, usually about 45 minutes of weights, and then a nice long walk or something like that. And this is all done in uniform, so if I really want to make life difficult, I'll get on the treadmill, put my gear on, all my gear on, and just walk, and that is painful, and like, it's just like backpacking.
Yeah, for sure.
But
so let me ask you, thankfully I've been really busy this week, but I've been in places where there was a point in my life where I was working 70 plus hours a week. How do you try to balance your work time but also still spend time with your wife and still get some time to relax?
So that it's been difficult because, again, I'm on night shift, so that makes it even more difficult. But basically what we've decided is that Wednesdays are our family day. Like, Wednesdays are the day that I hang out, with Corey. We'll go out to dinner, or mom-in-law will come over and cook, and we'll play cards. It's just something family related.
What card games do you play?
The one where you got a 15-2, 15-4 cribbage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We're playing cribbage. And hypothetically, it's $20 a game. But anyway, so what I'll do is Wednesdays are family days. However, I will do food prep. I will do my laundry. I will do Wednesdays are kind of completely booked up, right? So Wednesdays, family, whatever chores need done. In fact, yesterday I got a whole bunch of chores done. I woke up early, got a whole bunch of chores done, and all that stuff. So Thursdays are my only actual factual day off. I plan on Thursdays just being a whatever I want to do sort of day. And so that's kind of how it's been, it's just Thursday is my only actual free day where I don't have to do anything that I don't want to, and that's kind of what's been good. So yeah, Wednesdays are definitely busy, but Thursdays, and again, come June, once we get the last guy up to speed on everything, we'll be going to either 3s and 4s or 7s and 7s. And I'm leaning more towards 3s and 4s because after talking with Corey, she's like, you're gonna be spent after doing 7 12s in a row.
Yes, 7 12-hour shifts in a row. That's brutal. Even that time when I said that I was working 70 plus hours, I still wasn't working 7 days a week.
Right.
It was more like 14 and 16-hour days, 5 and 6 days a week.
Right.
But yeah, man, working 7 days straight, especially full days like that, that's pretty brutal.
It is, but I've said it. It's I'm already there for I'm already there for 5 days, right? I'm already there 5 days, so it's like might as well just
Did she get dinner?
Yes. Might as well just keep it going, you know what I mean? It's like I'm already there for 5 days a week, so.
Yeah, for sure.
But I guess it's just discipline that's keeping me going, as far as working out, and I'm down 15 pounds, so eating a lot of salad, eating a lot of vegetables. I mean, just vegetables with every meal, that's the main, it's kind of the main thing that I've been eating, and then big heaping of big helping of vegetables, and then less carbs and less meat,
Oh man, I wish Nick was on this one because he's been eating the carnivore diet.
Oh yeah,
for a year. Well, he calls it dirty carnivore. So last week I was over in Indiana visiting my folks, and Nick came up, and we all had this big family week together, which was great. And I got to kind of watch him eat, and it was mostly meat and animal products like cheese,
yes,
and that sort of thing. But he would have some vegetables, just non-starchy vegetables. So
yes.
He'd eat asparagus,
yes,
and stuff like that. but he completely stayed away from bread. I'm pretty sure he stayed away from potatoes and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But it'd be interesting to, because you're like no carbs or lower carbs.
Yeah, lower carbs.
More vegetables, less meat.
Yes.
And Nick is like no carbs, almost no vegetables.
Right.
Just like meat and dairy.
Yeah, and you know, the reason I decided on vegetables is because they fill me up, right? Like I'm talking like I'll eat a 2-pound salad, but that's all it is vegetables. I'm not putting anything on it. I'm using balsamic vinegar and olive oil, and like that is it. So it's just onions, celery, lettuce, radishes, cucumber. Like, I mean that is it. There's no, you know what I mean? And like I'll eat a big gigantic serving of it, and then I'll be full. I'll be fullish. It's like, oh cool, I only need to have, you know, this much of whatever, you know what I mean? And you know, but I have noticed that there are some times where I'll go a while without having carbs. I start to get a little pissy. So I'm like, I gotta have some carbs every now and again, or I'm gonna start to get like real pissy.
Yeah. Now, I think there are ways you can have carbs without just eating junk, though.
Oh,
you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, that's not, you know, there are obviously good carbs, and carbs are not a bad thing, not at all. It's just, like I said, I've been down 15 pounds, and I'm very proud of it, and I'm noticing that, you know, I actually had to take my duty belt in a little bit, which was like a fantastic feeling. It's like, yes!
Nice.
You know, because in all reality, being a police officer and being in detention are very sedentary jobs. You don't realize it, but I spend more time sitting down in those jobs than I ever do standing up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's always that, like, you're doing nothing until you're just sitting around until you have to go 100 miles an hour and then, you know, like, chase. So it's one of those things where, you know, you're not actively moving around and stuff like that, but then suddenly at the flip of a switch, you got to go, you know, run. Like the other day, I responded to an accident. There was a bunch of motorcycle guys involved, and they decided to get shitty with the firefighters. So I had to dead sprint 100 yards. I had to from where the accident was to where this firefighter was. I had to dead sprint 100 yards. I was like, oh, okay, you know, like that's just how it goes, and so. You know, you're not doing anything until you have to sprint, you know, or, you know, chase somebody down or something like that.
I mean, that makes sense, you know, especially with that stereotype of the fat cop that eats donuts.
Yes.
You know, you sitting in a squad car or sitting at a desk doing paperwork or whatever.
And I don't ever want to be that. There are cops out there that have this mentality that, number one, we have tasers, right? Everybody likes to think the tasers are the end all be all. Okay. Yes and no. When they work, they work. The people that I've tased, yes, they work. They've worked, but there is that possibility that it doesn't work, and you are going to have to go hands on.
Yeah. I've seen videos where somebody's like wearing a thick coat or whatever, it doesn't make contact, or you know, you got somebody who's like just totally whacked out on something, and they just pull the leads out.
So. Now, that being said, that's the first, I'm going to say, wrong thinking that they have. The second is that...
if they grab them, it'll...
No, because they think that using the taser will keep the... Okay, yes, maybe that will work, but there's also the possibility that it won't work. The second thing is that they think that, you know, adrenaline is going to get them through. That's, you know what I mean? Like, yes, adrenaline can make you do amazing things, but I'm not banking on that, you know what I mean? And so I want to be set to go all the time. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. I'd rather be comfortable knowing that I can run and fight if need be, as opposed to having to rely on somebody else or rely on a piece of technology to get it done for me.
Yeah. Well, and I think that translates to everybody ought to have that mentality.
Yes.
To a certain extent.
Yes.
It's actually, so going and visiting my folks, my mom had a conversation with me and my brother, and she's basically like, you know, I want to start getting more self-sufficient and a little more prepared, because she's seeing the writing on the walls that a lot of us are seeing.
Yes.
Where it's like, okay, you know what? It's very possible that tough times are coming,
Yes.
and we're going to have to take care of ourselves. And so you need certain things. You need certain supplies.
Yes,
You need certain
yes,
skills. And you need to be physically fit.
Well, and the other thing that, as far as my job goes, my closest backup is 20 minutes away. A lot's going to happen in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're coming from here to come back me up. Nobody. So basically, for all intents and purposes, nobody's coming to save me.
Mm-hmm.
I have to figure this stuff out myself, and it's the same thing like we're talking about, and that's why I think being a police officer translates really good into this, because nobody's coming to save you. We gotta figure this stuff out ourselves.
I think one of the questions that I ask myself, and I don't remember who said this. I read this somewhere or heard it from somebody, but they asked the question, are you strong enough to save yourself?
Yes.
And there have been many times in my life where the answer to that was no.
No. Yes. Exactly.
And it's like, okay, having a family, having children and stuff, I feel as though it's got to step up for me now. Not only do I have to be strong enough to save myself, I have to be strong enough to save my family.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. And for you as a cop, you have to be strong enough to save whoever you're serving.
Yes, and so then it's Jocko Willing.
Oh, yeah.
And was it Jocko?
Is he the one that said that?
No, it may have been Pat McNamara. That's who it was. Pat McNamara.
Okay.
He is a ex-SF dude, and I watch. Basically, his mantra is, could today's Ian kick yesterday Ian's ass? So basically,
like
is it have you learned more? Or are you in better shape? Do you know what I mean? Are you more prepared today than you were yesterday? And if the answer is no, then you have a problem.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So that's been my mantra. Could today's Ian kick yesterday's Ian's ass?
That's pretty good, because then you're competing against yourself.
That's
too.
all I'm competing against.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I am my hardest critic. You know what I mean? I am when I don't do well on a run, I am the one who's the most pissed off. Or I don't lift. It's me. I'm not proving it to anybody else. I am alone in a gym by myself for 3 or 4 hours a day, and it's me. It's only me.
Yeah.
But I'm also my own hardest critic. You know what I mean?
Oh, did I tell you I finally got a gym membership?
No.
Oh, yeah. I got a gym membership. I traded for the local gym that's owned by the interesting guy.
Okay.
I traded. I said, I'll clean your windows once a month if me and my wife can have a membership. And he was like, yeah, done. Okay. So traded work for the membership, and then I feel bad because I've gone like 4 times, and I've had it for almost a month.
Got to get after it, man.
Yeah, part of it's been because we've been gone.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But also, like, this week, I really don't have any valid excuses, but I haven't gone at all. Except that I've been tired, and I've been working a lot, but that's still not really a valid excuse.
Well, and that's what I mean by as far as me being disciplined enough to get up early and go. And it's weird because in the very beginning of this, I was like, man, I gotta get up early. I gotta get on the treadmill. Like, I really don't want to do this. Like, I could get out and I could run for 45 minutes, or I could sleep for 45 minutes. It's like, it was a real mental, like, no, you are going to. And now I'm at that point where if I don't, the rest of my day is just like, it's completely screwed up.
Isn't that weird? Because that's what happens to me too. Is the first week usually sucks, and then you start getting in the groove, and you're like, oh man, this feels good. And then you're like, oh yeah, I'm beating what I did last week.
Right.
And then you're like, oh man, I'm feeling good. And then you start noticing, like, oh man, this used to kind of hurt to do, but now it doesn't, and all that kind of stuff. But then you fall out of it for whatever reason. You get busy or whatever, and you slack off. And then it takes so much effort and motivation to get back into that routine. I don't get why that happens. I'm sure there's some sort of biological, scientific something that goes into that, but it's crazy to me that something that you build up and it makes you feel so good and it makes you healthier and stuff. If you slack off it, it's just so much harder to get back into, even though know, like, this is going to make me feel good.
Yes. And I don't know what that is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. And I guess it's just that, and that's one of the reasons why I'm like I said, I'm just, because it's like I put all this effort into it. I don't want to lose it. You know what I mean? It's like I don't want to get back to that. Oh, I'm just going to sit around, like, cinching my duty belt down was kind of a really big deal for me. It's like, yes, like, this is awesome. I'm seeing results,
Yeah.
And it's funny because the scale isn't, I'm down 15 pounds, but I've been like wavering at 188, kind of, but it's like, my gut's smaller and all this. It's like, maybe I am building muscle. I don't know, but whatever the case may be, it's like, I feel better. My sleep is better. My pulse rate is down, right where it should be. And so,
Well, I think when you're losing weight too, there's parts where you'll lose a lot and then you'll kind of plateau for a while.
Yes.
And then you'll lose and then you'll plateau. At least that's what happens for me.
Right.
Unless you're just absolutely starving yourself, but that's not sustainable.
No,
and not healthy.
It's not, and you won't get the improvements. You know what I mean? Like I said, I know that if I don't eat carbs, I start to get, and the same thing will happen.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first time I decided I was going to do no carbs, and I was working out with a buddy, and I hit the treadmill at the end of a workout, and it was like, I hit that wall so hard, so fast. I was like, I don't understand what's going on.
So you have no fuel.
Yeah, and that's what my buddy's like, dude, he's like, yes, sometimes carbs are bad, but you need to have something, because I would get on the treadmill, start running, and boom, like I come completely out of breath, and he's like, no, man, he's like, you got it. And so ever since then, it's like, yes, I will eat some carbs,
Yeah, it's carbs are expensive as far as calories go, but that your body can use that as really good fuel.
Yes.
I think that's why marathon runners, they'll eat a ton of pasta before they go and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's part of the whole Minuteman theory kind of genre is being in shape and being able to take care of your family and the community. You know what I mean? If it comes to that.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Well, and I think it ought to start with yourself.
Yes.
You need to be strong enough to save yourself. Well, I think if you're single, definitely you start with yourself. If you have a family, I think you have an obligation to skip self and go to protect or be able to save your family. Although
you do, but here's the thing, right? You gotta focus. Your family should be motivation. That's in the very beginning. That is what it should be. Your family should be motivation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because the same thing with police, man. If I get into a car wreck, responding to a scene, I am you know what I mean? Not only do they have two scenes, they got to take care of me. They got to take care of the other person. It's like, I'm not helping anybody. In fact, I'm a liability.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with fitness. You know what I mean? You want to be in shape for yourself, yes, but at the same time, you don't want to be a liability for other people.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Well, I guess that's the other thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is it's like, okay, the less in shape you are and like the heavier you are, the harder it is for somebody else to help you.
Yes.
And there are, and just like the healthier you are and the more in shape you are, if you get injured or you're incapacitated or something, usually you can recover quicker, or at least push through it to a certain extent.
Well, that in the Army, that was why there was such a big focus on cardio, because there were studies done while I was in, and that said, hey, if your cardiovascular system is rocking and rolling, you have a better survival probability when you're shot or something very traumatic happens, because your body is already so efficient that it can, it can afford to deal with these problems. Now, obese, your body isn't where it should be, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and when you get obese, not only are you heavier, you usually have less muscle mass because to get to that
Yes.
point you have to be pretty sedentary.
Yes.
But it throws all your hormones out of whack,
Yes.
and so you're not you're unable to do certain things because you're fatigued and lethargic all the
Yes.
time.
And not only that, if you need surgery, there's a lot more they got to get through before they can get to whatever the problem is. You
That
know what
too.
I mean? Like, yeah.
Well, I think there's points where you have so much fat where certain surgeries they're like, we won't even perform the surgery
Yes.
until you lose X amount of weight.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, that's been my motivation, is that I want to be better today than I was yesterday.
Good.
Plain and simple. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's good. And I like what you said about the competing against yourself. Yeah. I like that.
Because like I said, man, it's just me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not working out with anybody else. You know what I mean? And I'm my worst critic.
Yeah.
And so I want to make myself. I want to be. I guess that's the other thing. When I wake up and I go for a run, I have pride, because it's like I woke up, I put the work in. This is going to be a good day because I'm already started off on a good foot. Because I didn't sleep in. It's pride, because it's like I woke up and I did the hard thing. I could have literally stayed in bed for another hour, but no, I got up, I ran, and then same thing when I get done with work. It's like I lifted weights. I can feel good because I did the hard thing.
Yeah. Well, I think there's something too psychologically about that. I've never thought about this until now, but about competing against yourself instead of like competing against like let's say you have a neighbor who's really fit and you're like, I want to be better than that guy. At a certain point you might be better than that guy, and then you're just not motivated by anything anymore.
Yes,
Or you pick somebody who's just super unattainable. You're like, oh, I want to be faster and stronger than Usain Bolt, and it's like, well, you're never going to be faster than that guy.
Yes.
And so you're going to beat yourself up because you're never going to be able to attain that goal.
Right.
Whereas competing against yourself, you're constantly getting those wins.
Yes.
And I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, that's kind of to our viewers. I highly encourage you to get out there and start working out. If you've been rolling around the idea, this is your wake, not your wake up call. This is your push. Get out, work out, challenge yourself, man. Do the hard thing, because I guarantee you're gonna feel better about it in the long run.
If you're waiting for a sign, this is it.
This is it, man. Get out there and do it.
Yeah.
Because
And you don't have to.
No, I'm not telling you to go. Yeah.
You don't have to go hard in the paint, especially if you're super out of shape. Just being more active than you are now is a good start. Just taking a walk around your block,
Yep.
or whatever, is a great start.
Yep.
And just being consistent.
And be proud of the accomplishments you make, but don't beat yourself up for backsliding. It happens.
Yep.
Plain and simple. I could run 2 days in a row, and this run was amazing. This run sucked. It could be that I didn't have enough water the night before. You know what I mean? Like that's just the way that it goes.
Yep.
Don't sweat. Don't sweat when you don't see. Celebrate the small achievements. Like I said, man, taking your belt in a little bit. Like that was awesome.
Don't sweat the petty stuff.
That's right.
Pet the sweaty stuff.
That's right.
So, I thought of another topic.
Okay, let's roll with it.
Okay, so recently, so for those who don't know, I own a couple businesses. One of them is a window cleaning business. The other one is an IT business. And we've been doing a lot of security camera installs recently.
Nice.
So I thought that would be good to go over. Is we just did a security camera install over the past couple days at somebody's house.
Uh-huh.
And most of the time I'm installing them at businesses because that's
Right.
our thing.
Right.
But, this person had they actually had 2 houses on their property, and they wanted coverage because they've been having some issues with people. I'm not gonna talk about their personal stuff, but so we installed this camera system, and I think something that a lot of people don't think about is security at their house, at their place of work, on their person, and like in their vehicles and stuff. These people are very security conscious because they've had issues.
Yes.
But the problem is like for most people and for these people, they weren't security conscious until they had
Yes,
issues.
and so that's my job in a nutshell. It's like, you're not security conscious until it happens to you, and then it's a good lesson.
Yeah. So, what do you think about how should people, specifically people listening to this, how should they go about securing their homes? First off, what do you think is a good recommendation for the vast majority of people?
I would say, now I know you're doing security systems, but I have Simply Safe.
Mm-hmm.
I like Simply Safe. I like I know you have your own.
Yeah, I have my own opinions about that. Yeah.
Just for the average, you know what I mean? Just for the average person, I would say Simply Safe. I guess the most basic thing that I can tell people, lock your doors.
Yeah.
Car doors, house doors, shed doors, whatever. Lock your doors, because I can't tell you how many people are like, oh, this is so-and-so Montana. I don't lock my doors.
Uh-huh.
Okay. See, that's where you're wrong. Like, I mean, I get it. You wanna have this fantasy that we're all living in Andy Griffith Show.
Yeah,
we're all
Andy Griffith Show.
yeah, we're all living in the Andy Griffith Show. It's like no, that's not how it is. Lock your stuff up, right?
Yeah.
Any valuables you have, especially even change, like change in your cup holder in your car, hide it, because people will see that and they will break into your car. You know what I mean? They will break into everything that I own that is a very valuable that I have in my vehicles. I'm not, without getting into too much detail. Gear and stuff. It's all hidden. You know what I mean? Because it's like I don't want somebody going up and looking and be like, oh, I know what that is. Crash.
Yeah. I'll even if I have my backpack in my car, you can't tell what's in the backpack.
Right.
But I'll put my jacket over it.
Yes.
Just so it's out of sight, out of mind.
Yes, and that's the most basic thing that you can do for your security is, number one, lock your stuff up.
Yeah.
Number two, if your stuff is in plain view, hide it. You know what I mean? Like, make it look like it's nothing.
Yeah.
The 9 times out of 10, the criminals, they're looking for the easy thing, right? Like, they want to be like, oh, cool, there's change in the cup holder here. Oh, the door's unlocked.
Yep.
I mean, that's it. And crime. Congratulations. A crime has just been committed, and that's it, because you didn't go out of your way to hide anything. You didn't lock your doors.
Yeah. Well, and people might say like, okay, somebody stole the change out of my cup holder. Big deal. It's like, okay, but what if that is the thing that they see and they go, oh, the door's unlocked. Oh, hey, there's a laptop in here.
Yes.
Oh, hey, there's a whatever in here.
Yes. And see, that's just it. That's how it goes. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, okay, fine. It's still you still feel vulnerable when somebody takes the I promise you, if you're the victim of a theft like that, you're still going to feel vulnerable that somebody took 75 cents of change out of your car, because that is your property, that's your change, that's your vehicle. And for somebody to go in and violate you're still going to have feelings about it. I know it's 75 cents, but they went into your stuff.
Yeah, they violated your space.
Your space, right? And so that's 75 cents, whatever. But the violation of your space is really the big thing,
Definitely.
Yeah, things that are valuable, hide them. You know what I mean? That's a good one.
I would say beyond hiding them, like in your house, have a safe.
Mm-hmm.
Safes are, and you don't have to get anything super fancy or whatever. Just something for the most important things, like important documents.
Yes.
And like if you keep the cash in the safe.
Yes.
Or if you keep silver rounds or gold rounds or something, keep them in the safe. And then hide that safe.
Yes, and that's just it. Criminals, the majority of criminals, majority of criminals want the easy way, just like every human wants the easy way, right? So you got to make it a little harder. You know what I mean? Like that's, and it's funny because I had a buddy. This was prior to me getting involved in law enforcement. He said, I had a buddy, and he had a friend who broke into houses. That's what he did. Like that was his jam. And he said there were a couple of things that he would look for. Number one, do they have a dog? If they have a dog, no, not interested at all. Even if it's a little Chihuahua or whatever, not interested. Okay. Number two is animals. He said if there was an animal skull or something like that, he knew they had guns, and he was like, nope, not interested.
Yeah.
So I mean, take that for what it's worth. You know what I mean? You should. I feel like at some point, there's a couple people I know that used to be in the crime world. Maybe we should have them on the show and be like, hey, look, what was it that you would look for? Because that's good stuff for people to know.
Well, I think I can talk about it now because it was many years ago. I was never into breaking into people's homes, but we used to me and a buddy used to social engineer our way into places that we wanted to explore.
Yes, right.
And so, like, there was one day we were in 4 bank vaults in one day.
You told me this story.
Yeah. So, they were not operating bank vaults. They were not operating. It was no longer an operating.
Right.
But we literally, it was a construction site at the time. On an off day, we just wore safety vests and hard hats and walked right in, and nobody said anything. Like, middle of the day,
right,
downtown, nobody said anything. And we went in and we explored, we took pictures and had a jolly good time. We weren't vandals or anything, we just wanted to explore. And then we left and nobody said anything.
And there's something to be said for that. You know what I mean? Like that's they do the same thing in the military. You know what I mean? They have guys that test security and stuff like that, and it's the same thing, social engineering, you know what I mean? And that's the cool thing about, how do I want to word this? That's the cool thing about living in a small community, right? Like, when things start to get weird, people will let you know. Like, I've had my neighbors be like, hey, there's somebody hanging around your house. We don't know who this person is. Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay, I know who this person is, and why are they hanging around my house? Like, things like that.
Yeah.
Come, Ivy. Come.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, like, here, a couple of my neighbors I trust really well.
Right.
And so whenever we're out of town, I tell them, like, hey, and they're really reliable people. And so I'll tell them, like, hey, we're going to be gone from this day to this day. Can you just make sure nobody's messing around at the house? And I'll be like, and so-and-so down the street is going to be checking on the dog. So if you see them, then they're fine.
Right.
And that's worked out really well for us. We haven't had any issues since we've moved here.
Right.
Now, when we lived in Washington, it was kind of a mixed thing. We had issues. I lived in the roughest neighborhood in the town.
Okay.
And
this was really good, by the way.
Good. I'm glad. Okay. Good. Like I said, the one that I had was really good. The other one was awful.
Right.
But yeah, when we first moved there, they were like, these new people or whatever. And we had packages stolen off of our porch, and somebody rifled through my car once, and that was a weird one too. So they stole all my CDs and all my cassettes, except for my Dire Straits cassette. I guess they didn't like Dire Straits.
Uneducated, what is it? Uncultured swine, man.
Yeah. And then, let's see, what else? They stole, I had an electric, like, orbital sander.
Oh, yeah.
And they stole that.
Tools. If you have tools in your vehicle, hide them.
Yes.
Tools are the number one thing. Every now and again, I'll get a stolen gun. The 9 times out of 10, it is tools, man. If you have a tool bed in your truck, lock it. Because I'm telling you, man, people on meth love tools. That's that. You know what I mean? That's just the way that it is.
Especially around here.
Yes.
I've heard chainsaws.
100%, man.
Yeah?
100%,
okay.
Yes. I've probably had 50 chainsaw thefts.
Yeah.
Like, just because it's like, Okay, just real quick.
Yeah.
Serial numbers. If you don't have them on whatever it is, get them. Put a personalized thing on your chainsaw bar. Put a personalized thing on your sander. Because what's going to happen is it's going to get stolen. It's going to get pawned. And then when somebody calls the police, they're like, well, does it have any identifying marks? Well, no. Does it have a serial number? Well, no.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's like, okay, this could be anybody's Steel 026.
Yes, and it's like, but if you're like, this is what was stolen, this is the serial number, this is what it looks like, it's like, yes, sweet, I can do something with this. You know what I mean? So that would be another thing I say for security is, write down the serial numbers, make a personalized thing on your tool, so then that way, when it gets pawned, and say, hey, it's got a smiley face sticker on, right underneath the chain guard. It's like, okay, cool. Now we, anyway.
Yeah. I want to circle back to security systems for houses real quick, though, because we could have a whole discussion on why I don't like Simply Safe and Nest and all those. But there's something that I was talking about this client that we just did at their house.
Yes.
Is the security system not only gives you something that you can give to law enforcement to be like, this is the person that broke into my house.
Right.
It also can act as a deterrent.
Yes.
So, like what you were saying with the dogs and the skulls and all that, it's if a criminal walks by a house and it's like, oh, there's a security camera on that corner. Oh, there's a security camera on that corner. Then most likely, well, I don't know. Some criminals maybe, some maybe not.
See, but that's just it, because the only ones we deal with are the ones that just didn't know, or B, didn't care. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we don't know who would like walk by and was like, no, and we'll never know. You know what I mean? But I'm sure that is a deterrent. You know what I mean?
However, I will say, and I think that like alarm systems are not necessarily worth it, unless they're in combination with access control or security cameras.
Yes, but yes.
And
yeah,
and because here's the deal: if you have just an alarm system, which is nice because somebody breaks a window, opens a door, it calls the cops.
Right.
But if you have that little sticker in your window or that little yard sign saying we have ADT or whatever, that criminal might think, okay, they have something worth protecting in that house, which means they probably have nice things. They also have enough money to pay monthly for an alarm service.
Right.
And response time for the police is like 20 minutes. So I have 20 minutes to go in and steal what I want.
That's the funny thing. That's the funny thing about working here versus working where I'm working now. Our response times here are like 5 minutes. It's like like from cross town. We got lights. We got 5 minutes.
Right.
Our response time there is like a minute and a half. It's so small that it's like no matter where we are, like we're there. Like every call, the majority of calls that I've been to at this point, I'm like, oh, cool, I'm already here. Like I mean, it's that's.
You get the call over the radio, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
it's right there. Okay.
I've literally been like, I guess, okay, I'm here. Like,
yeah. Well, bigger cities.
Yes, right.
It's an issue, and also bigger cities is usually where you have more affluent people that have more money and nicer things and alarm systems.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I think that security system is a good thing. I am 100%. But again, the reason we have Simply Safe is because I'm not competent enough at installing crap to, now that I know somebody who is competent enough, that will kind of change the game, But as far as, me.
Sure. Well, okay, and the thing with like Simply Safe and Nest and Ring is the other big one, is they're really easy. So you buy them. They're fairly inexpensive.
Yes.
It's like, oh, you stick this to your wall, you connect it to your account, and
that is exactly yes.
Yeah, which is great. but it's one of those things where you're trading convenience for security. So
Fair enough. Yeah.
I think Simply Safe has fixed this. I don't know if I want to talk about this online.
Okay.
Maybe I'll tell you about it after. But there's
Yes.
a huge flaw with Simply Safe that makes it really easy to bypass.
Okay.
I think they fixed it, but I don't want to just announce to the
okay.
world that your house is full.
Let me ask you another question.
Okay.
Do you think the average person under the influence of methamphetamine in where we live, Montana, is going to be smart enough to figure that out?
No, but somebody who's actually after your valuable stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Is it like the Fifth Element where he's just wearing a hat that has the just the regular, the hallway picture on it? He gets up close to it.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
Wait, what's that movie? There's another movie where
He just has the hat with the picture, and he's like, he pulls the gun. He's like, "Oh, that's the X3000." He's like, "What you got to do is you got to press this. Here, give it to me. I'll show you how to do it."
Yeah. No. There's another movie too where maybe it's Mission Impossible. One of the Mission Impossibles where they like climb up on this wall and there's a security camera and he like disrupts the security camera signal for a second and then takes a picture and then like prints the picture and then hangs it in front of the security
Oh yeah.
camera. And so then when the camera comes back online, the security guard's like, "Oh, it's all normal," and then he can walk in front of it. I'm trying to remember what movie that was, but anyway, no, nothing like that. It's
Okay.
It's a little more high tech than that,
But not much.
Okay. It's something you can do for like $5.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Okay. Yeah. Maybe that's something website related.
Yeah. Actually, it'd be really cool is I got to do research because Simply Safe might have fixed it. I sure hope they fixed it because it's huge. But if they haven't, we could do some tests on your system.
Yes.
And
Subscribe to the Minuteman Theory website.
Yeah.
For all the stuff that we're not putting on YouTube. The good stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and this sort of thing probably would not fly on YouTube unless we were like, "Oh, this is for security experts education." But anyway, but the other major problem that I have with the like Simply Safe and Nest and Ring is that you have to have an account, and if you want any sort of footage retention, you have to have a paid monthly subscription.
Yes.
So with the systems that we install, they are more expensive. You can get a full Simply Safe setup for a few $100s, whereas our systems are more like a few $1,000s.
Right.
But everything's recorded locally. You can still hit it with your phone with an app.
Yes. Okay.
Just like you can with all this stuff, but it's all recorded locally at your house to where if you lose internet connection, it still records.
Oh, right.
And oftentimes we'll install a UPS, which is an uninterruptible power supply.
Yes, okay.
To where even if you lose power, it will still record for a certain amount of time.
Right.
And so it's just a better, more reliable system, and you buy once, cry once type of thing. Where you're investing more money, but there's no monthly subscription.
Yes, no, I get that.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's, I think it's worth it to invest in the better system, but I also understand why people go with, like Simply Safe.
Well, and that's.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not the tech person. That's just not where my, and it was like, you pay $25 a month. You just snap these things in, you sit, and we'll call the cops for you. It's like, okay,
Yeah. Which is nice.
Yes. Yeah.
It's convenient. The other problem I have with it, and this is more of a personal thing where some people don't really care, but all that footage is being stored on a server owned by whatever company. So like Nest is owned by Amazon,
Yes,
I'm pretty
right.
sure.
Yes.
Simply Safe is their own thing, but it's saved on their servers, so they probably will tell you like, oh, your data's safe and all that, but history has shown that's not necessarily true.
What was it? There was just a big hacking, like huge. You know, your information's. I don't remember. I remember just clipping through the headline or something like that. Oh yeah, your information's safe, and there was just a big hack in or something like that.
Yeah, well, and it happens all the time. Big companies, they get breached, and then a bunch of user information gets spread everywhere.
Right.
But also, like, even, let's say the government is after you because they think you're some evil militia leader.
Inside joke.
And so then the FBI subpoenas Simply Safe.
Yes.
To give you
right.
to give them your camera footage without your consent.
Yeah. Okay. And I 100% agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that the cell phone companies are doing the exact same thing.
Oh, I completely agree.
So
Yeah.
I remember when all that would have been what 2010 or 11 when it broke that the Verizon was working with the secret FICA courts to just blanket wiretap any. I was like, holy shit! Like I guess that's the problem with all this technology, which is actually going to translate into our next topic here pretty well. Yes, it is incredibly easy it is technology. I will say, as far as being a police officer, technology has made my life easier. It has helped me solve crimes that would otherwise be unsolvable. As far as like, I have camera footage of this person doing this thing. You know, and we're still at that point where you can't argue with you're on video. Like, I mean, it's not like
yet.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms, you know. But at this moment, I can walk up to a jury and say, "This is the person. This is what I did. Here's the video," and that's it. You know what I mean? And that is incredibly helpful. There's also downsides because, you know, people like you and I who've done absolutely nothing wrong are still have the potential to have the government listening into what we're doing and what we're saying.
Yeah.
Even though we've done absolutely nothing wrong.
Yeah.
That's the issue. You know what I mean? Like, that's...
Or like, think about, hypothetically, if you were a guy that lived in North Idaho and an undercover ATF agent told you to saw the barrel off of a shotgun.
It's funny you say that.
Yeah. And, nice. Then, even if... Now, back in the past, you would have had to give the guy the shotgun to, you know, prove that. But nowadays, if there's camera footage of you doing it,
Yes.
or whatever.
Well, and
even if it was entrapment.
the other cool thing is that, you know, I've talked to a lot of guys who have been cops for years, and, you know, they're like, initially they were anti-body cam. Initially. But then as time went on, they're like, oh man, this thing is great.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine being a cop without a body cam. I want every single word that I'm saying, every single move that I'm making, every single thing recorded. Because I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm doing my job. And it's great that it's all on camera because it's like, here it is.
Well, and I think body cams are great. And I think the argument of people will say like it's an invasion of privacy for the officer.
Yes.
I think that's a poor argument because when you are a police officer, and I mean, I'm not, you are, so maybe you have a different perspective, but when you're a police officer, you are a public figure in a sense, and you are there to serve the public, and so all of that should be recorded. And if you are a good cop doing what you're supposed to, that body cam will save you.
Bingo. Now, there are now arguments out there that an officer's entire shift should be video recorded. I disagree. Okay? Because number one, I have the same human physiological needs that everybody else has, right? It's like when I'm on, I gotta pee, I gotta do. That doesn't need to be recorded. If I'm not dealing with the public, I don't think it should be recorded. It would be like, it would be like anybody being recorded at their job all the time. Like,
Right. And nobody needs to see you, like...
typing reports or...
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I agree.
That is the one thing where I will say that no, I don't agree that an officer's entire shift... Now they're even saying that people want body cams to be streamed to the world. So it would be... The entire thing from start to finish, from the start of your shift is streamed worldwide.
I think that's dangerous for many reasons. Number one, that can easily give your location away.
Bingo.
And so, if you are needing to be somewhat stealthy, that's the reason why they now with like a police scanner, you pull up a police scanner and it's delayed by like 30 minutes.
Yes.
Because there were criminals that they just get a radio and tune into the radio frequency and be like, oh, guys, they're on their way, and then book it.
Right.
So, and that would happen with the body cams if they were live streamed.
Yes.
The other thing, too, is, though, protecting the people, their identities and their personal matters that the police officers are dealing with.
Yes, and that's a perfect example, right?
Yeah.
The only reason, so every traffic stop I make is dash cam recorded and body cam recorded, right? Mm-hmm. If it's a simple traffic stop where it's like, hey, you blew through that stop sign, don't blow through stop signs next time, have a good day.
Yeah.
There's no reason that should be held for posterity, right? Like, it's not...
No.
It's not going to court. The only reason that I would keep it is if, say, that they were going to make an accusation against me, then in which case, yes.
Right. If they're like, that officer assaulted me,
Yes,
then,
that would be the only... But if the 99% of interactions I have with people are literally like just having a conversation like this, and there's no reason for me to keep that body cam, because they haven't done anything wrong aside from blow through a stop sign. And who among us hasn't blown through a stop sign?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like you said, I don't necessarily agree that everybody I have contact with, they need to be broadcast on the internet. Like that's not cool.
No, definitely not. Well, and then you'd get people too, like especially in a small town like this, you'd be like, hey man, I watched you get pulled over the other day, and it's like that's not appropriate.
No, it's not. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I mean. Now, as far as going to court, yes, 100%. Like, if there's actually a crime,
sure.
This is going to court. This is going to be on display for everybody to see. That is a different scenario than Granny Newsbomb going, 10 miles over the speed limit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're two different things.
Definitely, 100%. So let's shift to. I think this will tie in with. I'm going to talk about encryption and stuff, but also I think that ties into personal security on like your cell phone and on your person.
So, okay, this is going to be a wonderful conversation for you and I to have, because one of the other gentlemen that I'm friends with at the sheriff's office, you and him are very, very similar. You're very much tech-minded, and we went from WhatsApp to Signal.
Yeah.
We started off on Signal. Signal was kind of acting weird for a while. We went to WhatsApp, and then we went back to Signal.
Yeah.
How secure are these messaging apps?
Well, specifically WhatsApp and Signal are both end-to-end encrypted.
Okay.
Signal has repeatedly been subpoenaed by like the FBI and stuff, and Signal has said like it's end-to-end encrypted. We literally cannot give you the messages because we literally don't have them.
Now that being, I highly recommend Signal to everybody. If you want to have a conversation that you don't want anybody to be able to look in on, Signal is the way to go.
Well, I personally, I think everybody should be using Signal even just for everyday stuff, because honestly, nobody needs to. I mean, because here's the thing: is there's lots of times where maybe you're accused of a crime, maybe you committed it, maybe you didn't. But what they'll do is they'll say like, "Oh, Ian messaged his friend Brad and joked about this thing, which
Yes.
shows that
Yes,
he
right.
has intent to do this thing.
Yes.
And it's like everybody tells off-color jokes at some point.
Yes.
Everybody, says things when they're frustrated that they don't actually mean. Or things can be taken out of context, especially in text.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
How many times have you texted somebody and they're like, "Why are you angry at me?" And it's like,
Yes.
I'm not.
Yeah, yes.
What are you talking about?
Yes.
Because it's hard to... You can interpret text messages in very twisted ways.
Yes.
But anyway, I recommend Signal for everybody.
And it's funny because I donate to Signal every time I get an extra couple of bucks. I'm donating money because I support it that much.
Good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. My mom uses Signal. Like, I talk to
Some of the most upstanding American people that I know are on Signal.
Mhm.
We're all on Signal together. Like,
Yeah.
dudes that are still doing the Lord's work, I still talk to on Signal. You know what I mean? Like, it's wild because it's like, no, we're not doing anything wrong. But at the same time, I don't want anybody looking in and seeing, it's nobody's business but mine and the other person's.
Well, it's I have nothing to hide, but I also have nothing to share.
Yes. Yes.
So, but anyway, as far as Signal, I highly recommend Signal for absolutely everybody for all of their text messages. The problem is you have to get whoever else you're talking to on board to also use it.
Yes.
WhatsApp, on the other hand, so the other thing about Signal is it's open source. You can look at all of the source code, and it's verified by a ton of people.
Right.
Just average people.
Right.
And so it's open for you to see. There's nothing behind closed doors.
Right.
Problem with WhatsApp is that it's not open source, and it's also owned by Facebook.
So that's why we went, because apparently it was hacked into. Apparently somebody figured it out, and it was hacked into.
I'm not surprised. I mean,
Okay.
For me personally, it is end-to-end encrypted, allegedly, but we can't see the source code, and it's owned by a company that I don't trust. So,
Very valid.
or I guess it's not Facebook anymore, it's Meta, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Anyway,
Yeah, because they own Facebook and Insta and
Yeah.
yeah.
I still use WhatsApp occasionally
Okay.
to message. I have some friends that are overseas.
Okay.
That's what they all use.
Yes.
And so I use WhatsApp to message them, but that's it.
But no, like I said, man, and talking with this guy, he's very tech oriented, and he's like, man, he explained everything to me. He's like, this is why Signal is better than the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, like I said, any conversations that I'm having that nobody else needs to see, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Again, nothing illegal, or it's just you don't need to see who I'm talking to, and that, I think that's what pissed me off about Verizon, is that they were just like, oh yeah, we're going along with these FICO cards and blanketing and giving blanket search warrants to anybody who wants to tap your phone. It's like, do you have any idea how unconstitutional that is? Like,
Patriot Act.
yeah, like, man, you don't understand what I have to do in my job to get a warrant to do anything. Like, I have to do so much, and you're just like rubber stamping the stuff. It's like, God, that's insane to me.
Yeah.
And that's why we need to start using encryption. You know, that's
Yep. And it goes so many levels. So, like with your cell phone, using an end-to-end encrypted messaging tool like Signal.
yes.
Telegram is another one, but Telegram is a little more...
I don't like Telegram because I keep getting added to stuff on Telegram that I have no interest in being added to.
And that's my problem with Telegram too.
Yeah.
It's a little too social media.
Yes. Like I got added to like this. They were trying to sell me drugs. I was like, man, I have no interest in this whatsoever. Like, back off, man.
Yeah. That's my problem with Telegram too.
Yeah.
It's like, it's encrypted and all that, but it's too easy to get added to things you don't want to be added to. It's too much social media-y for me. I like Signal because it's basic. It's just basic
Yes.
texts
Yes.
and phone calls
Yes.
and video calls.
Yes. And I have had people add me on Signal that I don't know, and it's super easy. Block, and deny. That's it.
Yep.
But with the what's not WhatsApp? What's the other one?
Telegram.
They were adding me, and I was like trying to It's like, this is stupid. I don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So starting with encrypted messaging and phone calls and stuff is that's an easy place to start that everybody should be starting. And Signal is a very easy app to use. It's just as easy as using the text or phone call app on. Yeah, and it's free. And it's free.
Yes.
Completely.
I donate money every time because I support what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's the only. It's for free. You know,
free, no ads or anything.
And nothing. It is it is awesome. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Now to go a level deeper, you can do. You could encrypt your entire phone.
Oh.
That is a little more advanced, and you have to be careful.
Okay.
Because if you encrypt your entire phone, and you lose your decryption key, you're locked out of your phone.
It is done.
Yep. So
Okay.
for people who can't remember passwords, that's not for you.
Okay.
And then going on to like your computer, if you have a laptop or a desktop computer, you can encrypt the hard drive on your computer, which you should do.
Okay. Okay.
And then that's one of those things where, again, if you lose the decryption key, you lose access to all of the information on your computer. So
Right.
that's pictures, documents, everything.
Right.
So you have to, but that's also where you can write that password down,
Yes.
put it in your safe.
Yes.
That's
okay.
hidden.
Yes. Yes.
Microsoft, if you use Windows, which most people do, they will save your encryption key with your Microsoft account if you log in with a Microsoft account.
Ooh, that defeats the purpose.
Yes.
That straight defeats the purpose.
I agree to a certain extent.
Okay.
So
Don't get me started on Liberty saves. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can
Yeah.
get into that. That would be an interesting one.
That would be.
But so I deal with my company basically is an outsourced IT company, outsourced IT department for businesses for other companies.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
And so we always, just for data security, we make sure that all of our customers' computers are encrypted.
Okay.
And
yeah.
the easiest way to manage all of that is to have it attached to their Microsoft 365 account, because it's all centralized in a dashboard. So let's say that you work for XYZ Corp.
Okay.
And you're working on your laptop and you're doing whatever office work that you're doing, and then all of a sudden your laptop craps out. You're like, oh no, I need a new laptop. The beautiful thing about all that is like, okay, I can issue you a new laptop.
Yes.
All I do is click a button.
Yes.
And then boom, all your stuff is back.
Yes.
So, and then that's the thing with like personal computers too. Having that attached to your Microsoft account is, if your computer craps out or you upgrade your computer, it's that easy to get access to your stuff again. However, it's all centralized. And how much do you trust Microsoft?
I don't.
Yes.
Like that's I don't trust Microsoft.
Yeah.
That's okay.
The problem though is that and you can set it up without a Microsoft account, I'm pretty sure. But then you have to remember that decryption key.
Right.
The best way to do it, in my opinion, is to just run Linux on all of your machines, encrypt it with Linux, but Linux is not for everybody.
Right.
Especially if you're super used to using Windows or Mac OS.
Right. Right.
Because it's completely different. And Linux is a very broad term for a group of operating systems. There's all sorts of different distribution, or distros is what they call them.
Right.
So there's like Linux and Arch and Debian and Gentoo and Mint
Okay.
and There's one called Puppy Linux, and there's one called Damn Small Linux, and there's a Linux for everything.
Right.
Red Hat Enterprise Linux. There's kind of a new one, Rocky Linux. It's either Rock Linux or Rocky Linux. But anyway, that's how you're going to get the most secure, because you can. That's an open source operating system.
Okay.
But you have to be willing to put in the time to learn how that system works.
Right.
And there are some easier ones to learn, like Linux Mint and Ubuntu are the two that I recommend for new Linux users. However, Linux Mint not so much, but Ubuntu has some stuff that's a little things that I don't like sending usage data back to servers.
Right.
You can turn it all off, but you just have to know how to turn it off.
Right.
So,
but I mean, and let's take this whole encryption thing to another level. We were just, let's talk about dead drops. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same sort of deal, right? Like, dead drops are a big part of the criminal distribution of drug world. Like, that's something that, for a while it was, if you saw twigs in somebody's yard a certain way, that meant it's wild, because it's like, the Underground Railroad, but for drug, you know what I mean? It's like,
but dead drops don't have to be for bad things.
No, they don't. Dead drops, we just did a dead drop. That was actually incredible. That was one of the cooler things, that was really neat.
I'm glad you liked it.
I did. So I get a text message 3 weeks ago with a really cryptic, that was a cool sort of, So for those of you that don't know what a dead drop is, the CIA and the KGB were really good at it back in the the Cold War days. Basically,
it started as a spy thing,
yes,
and turned into a drug thing.
Yeah, well, yes, and yeah. But basically, what it is it's an agreed upon location that is actually completely public. It's open to the, you know what I mean? It's not even like a secret. It's not even a secret spot. You just have to camouflage it well enough, and you put something in something and you walk away. And then somebody at a later time comes and picks it up.
It's like a geocache.
Yes.
But actually useful.
Yes. Yes.
100%. Although geocaching is fun. But
yes.
This is to pass secret messages, to pass items and that sort of thing without being detected.
We ought to do that if we end up making it to the top of the mountain.
Geocache?
No, we ought to put a dead drop there.
Okay.
Yeah, we ought to put a dead drop there.
Oh, we're going to make it this time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're going to make it this time.
Yeah. But anyway, dead drops. It's a great way. It's a great way for getting. You know what I mean? It's basically like putting stuff in a mailbox, only it's better camouflaged.
Yeah, but it's a secret mailbox.
It is. It is a secret, though.
Yeah, exactly. And having a dead drop with people you trust is, I think, a good idea.
Yes.
Or a cache.
Yes.
A hidden cache of useful things.
Yes.
Somewhere that, like for the dead drop, somewhere that's public or at least easy to get to, that is hidden to where, some kids don't just find it.
Yes.
And then you can put whatever, a message in there.
Yep.
Or something secret that you don't want anybody to really know that you're passing to the other person.
Yeah.
And then you just send an encrypted message over Signal, or you have some sort of agreed upon thing.
Yes.
Where you're like, there's a secret message in the dead drop, but without saying that.
Right.
And then the other person goes, and when they have time and when nobody's looking.
Yes. When they have time being the key for us over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Ian he got the message like 3 weeks ago, and just today.
Yeah, just today I finally got around to doing it. But yeah, it's obviously you want to make sure that it's weatherproof. You know what I mean? It's something, or it's covered up, or that water's not going to get to it. But it's really cool. And it's definitely something that could be useful. You know what I mean? Like,
definitely.
passing whatever, without prying eyes. It's I guess that's what this podcast is ultimately going to be about, is about prying eyes.
Yeah.
Just
we are anti-prying.
We are anti-prying eyes, man. So one of the other cool encryption things that we were talking about prior to going live was how some of the oldest encryption is still some of the most secure encryption. Like, numbers and letters and codes and stuff. It's still just as encrypted today as it was when it first got going.
Well, some of it. So specifically, we're talking about one-time pads.
Yes.
And those definitely are.
You probably won't be able to see it on camera, but I have one right here.
Yeah. Well, don't show it.
No, I'm not going to. But yeah, you can't see. You can't see anything.
Yeah. One-time pads are a great way to pass encrypted messages. It's a super simple way to encrypt a message too, just with a pen and a piece of paper. A good, and I'll send you the video. A good video on how to do it is made by a channel called S2 Underground.
Okay.
Also, have you ever heard of that guy?
I have not.
Okay, I gotta send you that guy's stuff because he does intel updates where he talks about current events going on in the United States and around the world, and it's very just facts.
Nice.
So he'll say no opinion like so and so did this and so and so did that. He'll say like here's what we know, this thing happened, we're still waiting to know about this thing, and then he'll give his analyst comments where he'll give a little bit of his opinion, be like, well, because of this and this happening, I think that could mean XYZ.
Okay.
But it's very short to the point, very factual, very just here's what happened, the end.
Okay. Yeah. So the other way of encryption, which is something that I'm pretty familiar with, is a set of numbers that correlates to a book. So it would be like 5, 17, 3, 22. So that's page 5, 17 words in, 3 words down, 5 words across, and you would circle it. That isn't as secure because that's been figured out pretty well.
If you can figure out the book, you can.
Yes, you know exactly, but for just a crash course, it's just fine. You know what I mean? And all you have to do is make sure you have the exact same book as the other person.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's, I think it's just called a book cipher.
Yes.
But that's a super common one, and that's just a fun one. That's one you can do like with your kids.
Yes. Yeah.
And then there's other ones too. There's ones that are less secure, but are still fun to learn. Right. Just for kicks, like a Caesar cipher, which is basically you take the alphabet and you rotate it so many.
Just like the Enigma?
The Enigma is more complicated.
Okay.
The Enigma machine, the Enigma machine is more complicated than that. But the Caesar cipher is basically like, okay, so you take the alphabet A through Z, and you rotate it 3 letters, for example. So then A equals C.
Yes. Okay.
B equals D, so on and so forth.
Yes. Okay.
And so that's really easy to decrypt, of course.
Right.
Because you really only have 26 possibilities of what it could be.
Yes.
In fact, I wrote a Python program that automatically decrypts Caesar ciphers, and
really,
it also has a function where you can encrypt a message in a Caesar cipher.
Really? Yeah, that's cool. I'd like to take a look at that. That'd be super, super cool.
It's fun, and it's easy. And then there was one cipher that I used in elementary school where I got so good at it that I could read and write it without looking at the key.
Really?
Yeah. You ever heard of Pigpen?
Maybe.
Okay, so it's this.
Man, I gotta be honest with you. I thought writing in lemon juice was like the end all be all back when I was a kid.
Okay, I used to think that was cool too. Where you write it and then you put it up to the light bulb so it heats up.
Yes.
Yeah. I read that in a I had like a how to be a spy book or whatever.
I did too.
Yeah. I
Did
wonder
it
if
come
it's
with
the same
this?
one.
Did it come with this little thing where you could like shoot these little arrows that had messages on them? That was like, because
I don't remember.
Mine came with a pair of sunglasses that had mirrors on the
Yes.
side.
Okay. Mine had that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I had that. So
That
you could
was-
look behind you.
Yes.
And they were like ridiculously. big.
Yes, ridiculously long, but you could see. That was back when I really started getting into James Bond.
Yeah.
The original, the
Yeah.
OG,
Yeah.
Sean Connery. I was like, I'm going to be a spy when I grow up. You know, like, yes.
Dude, I was the same way.
Yes.
I either wanted to be a spy or a detective.
There you go. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I wonder if it was the same book. I got it. I'm pretty sure I got it at the
Scholastic Book Fair.
Yes. Okay. We
It was the
probably
same
had
book.
the same one.
Yeah, same
well, I think mine actually came with a Caesar cipher wheel, where it's like
Yes.
it had a little. It was like a metal pendant, and it had the alphabet.
Yes.
And then it had an inner wheel with the alphabet, and you could rotate it.
Yes.
Okay, dude. I had that.
Yes. Okay.
That was dude, and back in the day, the Scholastic Book Fair was the best.
The
thing
best
ever.
thing in the world. I would love to do something like that as an adult. Like,
Oh, yeah.
that
Oh,
would be awesome. Like, I got arrowheads. I got like little model spaceship. You know, like little.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
They need to do. Whoever's listening and has some pull around here, you need to start doing Scholastic Book Fairs for adults, because I guarantee you, 90s kids would lose their minds.
Yeah.
Dude,
I would.
That's a business idea. We're gonna do that. We're gonna be like book fair, Scholastic Book Fair for adults, and we're gonna make money hand over fist. It's gonna be great.
We should do it. That'd be awesome. Okay. Speaking, this just reminded me. So while I was hanging out with my parents, my dad was like, he had this box of stuff. He's like, hey, you want to look through this, and whatever you want to keep and whatever else is just like old stuff that he still had. That was mine.
Right.
And in it was this book called Puzzle Island, and
I remember that.
oh man, and I was actually thinking about it a few weeks ago, and I was like, what was that book called that me and my dad used to
Right.
do? And here's this book, and I was like, I was just thinking about this. He's like, you used to love that book. I was like, yes, I'm going to take this home.
Yes.
And so I have it. I'll show it to you. But it's really cool. It's this book, and it's the entire book is a puzzle. And so you open it up, and on the front page, it's like this letter from this guy that's like, oh, there's like this endangered animal, and I'm trying to smuggle it out of this place, but I only had enough space for the female. We still need to take the male with us. I've hidden messages in here to, so that once you figure out what it is, you can help me smuggle it out or whatever.
Right.
And so, if I remember right, you end up going through the book like 3 times to solve all the puzzles.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
each page is like a drawing, and in the drawing are all sorts of like hidden things.
Yes. Right.
And then the border around the drawing is a cipher, like with letters.
Oh, no way. Okay.
So you have to like
okay.
figure out the cipher and
Yeah,
then find the
yeah.
hidden images, and then you kind of put the pieces together, and then eventually you figure out what it is and where you need to go and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go through it when I have spare time.
Right.
Whenever that is. But that was another one from my childhood that I was like, this is awesome.
That is cool.
Uh,
That is very cool.
I don't know how we got off on this tangent, but
Encryption.
Oh, yeah,
Encryption.
yeah. But anyway, doing some of those, like the Caesar cipher, or
Right.
like Pigpen. I was telling you about
Yes.
that.
Yes.
So Pigpen was you. I wish I had a piece of paper I could draw it. So I got a notebook. So basically, you draw like a tic-tac-toe board and an X,
Okay.
and then
Do you need light?
I've got enough light with
Okay.
our little campfire thing
Nice,
going. So you draw tic-tac-toe board like this, right?
Yep.
And then an X like this. And then you write the alphabet 2 letters at a time. So it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I
J.
J K L M N O P Q R. And you start here at the top of the X.
Okay.
Q R S T U V X Y. Wait, hold on. Did I miss something? S T
W.
Ah, that's right. U V. This is supposed to be W X Y Z. Okay. So then, the way you write this out is the first letter is just this shape.
Okay.
Second letter is this shape with a dot. So,
Oh, I've seen that. I have seen that before.
So,
yes.
like, to write my name would be like this. Be like, that's B, and then R would be like this.
Yes, I have seen that before.
And then A would be like this, and then D.
In fact,
like
I just saw that. There was a thing on the... There was a meme on the internet that said, if you could figure this out, you should have been in a Signal Corps.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm looking at it, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense to me. That's what it was.
Oh, so this was... Here, let's see if I can get this, a good image of this on the camera. Maybe not.
If not, I can turn the light on. I'll turn the light on.
Oh, I think it's got it.
Okay.
Okay, so you have this key, and then this right here is my name, Brad, B-R-A-D, written right there. So, in elementary school, me and my friends got so good at this
Oh, that is cool.
that we didn't even need to look at this key to write it out. We would write it and read it without looking at it.
Really?
Without looking at the key. Yeah. And I can't do it anymore because I haven't used it since then. But I remember like sending notes to my girlfriend in 5th grade.
Yes. Heck yeah.
Yeah, but that was a fun one.
The other thing that I got really good at when I was a kid, and I'm not so good at anymore, was reading lips. I got real good.
Yeah.
I got real good at reading lips, and and upside down. That's something that I'd like to get back into. And another cool thing that you can do is hand signals. You can come up with your own hand and arm signals.
Yeah.
Like that's how gangs communicate. Gangs have a very specific set of hand signals that they use, and that's how they're able to communicate.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, in your military experience, you probably had certain hand
We did,
signals.
but it was a joke. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
yeah?
to be completely frank, we've gotten so technologically advanced that hand and arm signals aren't really a thing anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're just not. You know.
Okay.
Yes, we learned very basic stuff, but like this is a column, this is a wedge, this is a rally point. Like stuff like that. It's very, very basic.
Sure. Well, what about just like small squad stuff? You're trying to be sneaky breaky, and you're like,
No, not
No?
really.
Oh, okay.
Because again, I was war on terror. And I was a war on terror kid basically.
Sure.
So it was like, we weren't
like, over there!
Yeah, that's it. Oh, there they are. Like
Yeah.
we weren't sneaking around. Yeah.
Well, there's hand signals for like equipment operators too.
Yes. Yes.
My buddy is a heavy equipment operator over in Washington, and he showed me once, and I don't remember, so I'm totally going to do him wrong. But he was talking about if you're operating like a front end loader,
Right.
there's certain things where like you go like this, and that means to tilt the bucket or whatever.
Oh, right,
You go
right,
like
right,
this,
right,
and
right,
that
right.
means to whatever. There's all sorts of different hand signals because you're running this piece of equipment. It's loud.
Yes.
You
Right.
got the guy that's spotting for you,
Yes.
trying to communicate with you.
And that's the funny thing is that even as technology progresses, we're still using the old school. You know what I mean? We're still using the old school stuff because there are just times where it's more cohesive to what you're doing.
Sometimes it's just more applicable.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's let's get back to the dead drop thing real quick.
Mm-hmm.
We have a plan for a video where we're going to do different memes. And when he told me about the dead drop, I was like, oh, I'm sure there's a meme in there. And I opened it up, and there was no meme. I died a little inside.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah. And then Ian, he opens up. He's like, "Oh, this is a meme, isn't it?" And I was like, "Oh, it's not." But I totally should have done that. Oh, should have come up with some sort of dead drop.
Yes,
That's what'll be in there next.
I love it.
Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, we honest, good Americans who are doing nothing wrong should still take into consideration that people who you don't want looking at your stuff are going to be looking at your stuff. And there are precautions that you can and should take to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, well, and I would say too that, like, honest, good people should know how to do this stuff because it will help protect them. Well, okay, so I think that, I think this is kind of part of our mission too, is honest, good, righteous people should also be very dangerous people.
Yeah, 100%.
Because all the terrible, bad, dishonest people who are dangerous people who use it to prey on innocent people, the only way to fight back to that is to understand what they're doing, how they're doing it, and how you can counteract it.
Yes.
And the only way to understand that is to be dangerous yourself.
Yes.
Just
100%.
using those powers for good, not for bad.
Right. And you know, and that's just it. You know, today it's the Chinese government. Tomorrow it's something else. You know what I mean? It doesn't even have to be. It doesn't even have to be the American government boogeyman that we're concerned about. It's basically anything that has the notion that they want to restrict what we as Americans can do with our freedom.
Sure. Well, but even bringing it smaller and more local, like let's say you live in Chicago and you're dealing with gangs.
Yes.
You ought to know how they're pulling off their heists and their scams.
and their hand signals and their arm signals and how they're communicating.
And how they dress, because
yes,
gangs, they, you know, I've heard of stories where somebody will be dressed in a specific way and they're completely oblivious, and
yes,
they walk into a gang area and they're like, hey, you can't be wearing that here.
That happened.
And
that happened while I was in the Army. One of my buddies from the South, he was a Texan. He had a bandana in his pocket. That is literally because he's so used to being on a ranch in Texas. Well, we were in El Paso, and he had a red bandana in his pocket, and we went to a club, and these people started. He's like, whoa, 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 whoa. He took it out, put it away. He's like, I am not. He goes,
yeah.
Just that one thing, because he's so used to having a bandana. It could be used for our purpose. It could be used as a tourniquet. It could be used.
He could wipe his nose.
Yes.
Yeah.
For their purposes, that is showing colors. You know what I mean? And he immediately put it away. We're like, look, man, we don't want any smoke. We're getting ready to go to Iraq. We just want to have a good time and leave. You know.
Yeah.
And everything worked out. You know, but it's one of those things where, had we done a little research into El Paso, we would have known, like, hey, probably don't be, showing anything red or blue or, you know what I mean? We didn't know,
Okay, this is a little bit of a tangent, but have you seen the South Park episode with the where Jimmy and Timmy join the Crips?
Yes. Yes, I have.
That's a good one, because they're Crips.
Yes.
Yeah.
South Park used to be amazing.
Yeah. Well, some of their recent stuff has been good too.
Okay.
But I feel like it's, I don't know, some of it's a little bit too much now.
I don't know. I just stay away from politics, man. Oh.
Huh?
That's one thing that happened in the news that I just can't help but laugh at.
Oh.
The 11-minute space ride. I don't know if you're following what...
Oh, you mean with, like, Katy Perry?
They are getting roasted. And I'm like...
Yeah.
You know what? Here's my thing. It feels to me like a very much let them eat cake moment.
Yeah.
I am struggling to pay my bills, working 60 hours a week. Cool. My wife is struggling to pay bills, and she's And meanwhile, you get people who are like, well, I'm an astronaut because I went to space for... Cool. Good, cool story. Like, I don't care.
Cool story, bro.
Yeah.
Tell it again.
Like, yeah, but it's a very much... You don't know what space is like. You're right. I don't know what space is like because I'm too busy trying to keep myself afloat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Yeah, they are getting absolutely lambasted on the internet, and I think it's funnier than hell.
Yeah, that's... My mom asked me about that. I really don't care.
Yeah.
Like, for me... So, first off, I would not call them an astronaut. I'd call them a tourist? Space tourist?
Yes, space tourist, yes.
And I think there's nothing wrong with that, necessarily. But also, I heard... So there were some people, like, on Twitter being like, oh, this is a... You know... Because it was all women, so it's they're breaking the glass ceiling, doing this
There have been women in space for a long time,
and that's what I was gonna say. I was like,
for a long time.
Say, what about all the women
As a
before
matter
that?
of fact, there is a conspiracy theory that the first person in space was from Russia, and she was a woman. And not only was she a woman, she didn't make it home. She blew up in the atmosphere, and the Russians just completely glossed over it. That is the rumor. There were.
I didn't know about that one. But the first man in space was a Russian. Yeah,
yes.
Cosmonaut.
That
I didn't know about.
They're saying that what it was. They're saying screw it. So there was two Italian brothers, and they were ham radio operators.
Okay.
They were messing with their antenna one night, trying to get it zeroed just right.
Yeah.
They ended up picking up transmissions from a woman who was like, it's burning up. I'm not going to make it. I need help. It's not working. They were able to translate it, and you can actually hear a woman's voice. Like, they had it recorded. They are saying that the first person in space was probably most likely a woman, and because it wasn't successful, and it was communist Russia, they just made it disappear.
Whoa.
That is the conspiracy theory, yes.
I
subscribe to it because I hear the panic. You can hear the panic in the woman's voice.
There's an actual recording?
Yes, there is an actual recording of it. I will send you a link.
Okay, I want to.
I will send, because you can hear the panic. You're like, whoa, it's wild.
I will. That's I've never heard of that.
Yes, so if we're going to be talking about women in space, let's
talk about that.
Let's talk about that one. Yes, let's talk about
or all the other women that have been to space.
Yes,
or all the other women that like work on the rocket ships and in the ground control. And
I'm sorry, but if it was a carnival ride, man. It was. Somebody else pressed a button. You just rode this rocket. That's not the same as actually training and doing all this stuff and then piloting a spacecraft. It's not the same.
It's the way I feel about it is it's like, man, rich people are just gonna
do rich people shit, you know?
And they're gonna. I mean, and personally, I don't see anything wrong with that. If Katy Perry wants to go to space, she should do it. But the whole
you're right. However, don't expect me to feel a certain way about it.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Do not expect me to feel one way or the other about it.
And that's the thing is like, okay, Katy Perry went to space, and whatever, 4 other rich women. Okay, good for them.
Yeah, cool.
Like
yeah.
I don't see that as any sort of big. I don't think it's noteworthy because it's not any sort of big scientific advancement.
Let's talk about that woman who was stuck on the space station for 122 days.
Oh yeah.
Like let's talk about that. Like you getting on a roller coaster does not make you something special.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You got to work for it. You can't just pay a bunch of money and then suddenly, or that's not how that works.
Well, I mean, like, they did technically go to space.
Oh, okay. That's even that is arguable because they're saying that even the SR-71 flies higher than they went.
Oh, really?
Yes, that is the argument right now. So then, would you call a fighter pilot an astronaut?
Well, no. But I'm not saying that because they went to space, they're astronauts.
Right.
I think that I don't care if they went to Jupiter.
Right.
Like, that would not make them an astronaut unless they actually trained.
Yes.
They were, trained in all this scientific stuff, and they're actually going to go and.
Well, and that's the same thing. Like, I think we throw titles around too easily now. Like, you got to work. Like, you know what I mean? I worked for my infantry corps. I worked for my rank in the military. I worked for my designation as officer. I worked for my designation as city councilor. You know what I mean? Like, these weren't just things that were just like, oh, cool, you pay money and now you're this thing. No, I had to work to get it.
However, I think that there are certain titles. And
Yes,
certain things.
because you are an ordained priest, which I can absolutely respect.
I also have a PhD.
Yes.
Which I did not do anything
But
for.
to be fair, I think you're ordained, where you got your ordainment from, that totally stands to reason, and it should be respected at all ranks.
Definitely. But that's the thing is, like, I can legally marry people.
Right.
It's legally binding.
But I guess my question is do you have to have a White Russian in your hand when you do it? Was that part of the thing?
There were no requirements because the dude abides.
The dude abides.
But
let me also ask you though, was there a stipulation that you had to have a nice rug that tied the place together?
No.
Okay.
However, I think traditionally,
Yes.
yes, within this religious sect, you would have to have a rug that ties everything together, and you would have to have a White Russian in your hand, and you'd have to be wearing a bathrobe.
I was going to say, listen, here's the deal, right? I think Corey and I have talked about renewing our vows. I think that is exactly what and you're going to do it, and you're going to do it right.
Well, I am down for that. However, I don't like White Russians. But I would drink one just for you guys.
Oh my god, I'm sorry, but that is the coolest. I remember walking in, I was like, oh my god, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And what's even funnier is that the first time I saw that movie, I was like, this movie sucks.
Really?
This movie's stupid.
Really?
And then 15 years later, I go back and I watch them like, this movie is hilarious. This movie is awesome.
See, okay.
That's very much you have to be older. You have to be older to kind of appreciate it for what it is.
Well, I didn't see it till I was an adult. I don't think I watched it till I was like 23 or something.
Okay.
So, because I liked it the first time. So, I mean, maybe. However, I did feel that way about Napoleon Dynamite.
Okay.
But this might be a controversial take. I still think Napoleon Dynamite sucks. However, Napoleon Dynamite is more fun to quote than it is to watch. So I quote Napoleon Dynamite somewhat often, and occasionally I will watch it. It'll be like every 5 or 6 years I'll be like,
yes,
maybe that's a funny movie, and then I'll watch it and be like, I probably could have done without watching that.
You know, that's funny because I remember when it came out. Yeah. I was in high school, and it was huge.
So, yeah.
I never watched it. I never had any. I didn't watch it until like 2 years ago, and I thought it was hilarious.
You had never seen it?
I had never seen it. I had resisted, and finally, she was like, "You have to," because she was making quotes. I'm like, well, all right, whatever. She's like, "No, you have to watch this."
Whoa!
And I watched it. I was like, "Oh, this is funny. This is hilarious."
Huh. So I was in middle school when it came out.
Okay.
Because I'm a few years younger than you.
I remember everybody talking about tots, and I'm just like, what do we?
I'm trying to remember. I was either in 7th or 8th grade when it came out, and all of my friends were like, "It's so funny." I watched it, and everybody in school was talking about it, and they were like talking about the tots. Yeah, and the girls like guys with skills, and vote for Pedro.
Right.
And I was like, I didn't go watch it in the theaters. I waited till it came out on DVD.
Right.
And then, is that even a thing anymore? Coming out on DVD?
Nope.
Oh.
It's all streaming now, man.
So, I watched it on DVD. We rented it at Blockbuster or something. And then, which doesn't exist anymore, too. Dang.
Again, I'm going to tie this back in. Scholastic, Scholastic Book Fairs
Yes.
for 90s kids. Just
Yes.
throwing it out there. You know, you can rent movies.
Yeah. So I watched it, and I remember watching the whole thing, and at the end being like, why did everybody think that was funny?
Interesting.
Yeah. And then it was, I don't know, I feel like it was a couple years later I watched it again in high school. And then I remember thinking, well, this is better than I remember, but I still don't know why people think it's so funny. And then, but then I started like quoting it with, friends would quote it, and then I would quote it, and I'd be like, okay,
Right.
that's fun.
Right.
You know, like screaming at people, Tina, you fat lard, come get your dinner. You know, for some reason, that's hilarious. But it's not hilarious when you're watching the movie, at least not for me.
Like I said, I thought it was hilarious.
You know,
I don't.
Okay, you know, it's probably been a good 5 to 10 years since I watched it last. Maybe I'll watch it again.
Yeah, you know.
You know what is funny that's kind of in that same era and kind of in that same genre is Nacho Libre.
I can't. I'm unpopular opinion.
Oh no.
Yeah, unpopular. Jack Black is very hit or miss with me.
No, I agree with that.
Very hit or miss with me. I have never seen it.
You've
Just
never seen it?
for that reason, yes.
Dude, okay, no. You have to. You've
Okay.
got to watch it.
Okay.
If you gave Napoleon Dynamite a chance a couple years ago,
Okay.
you have to give Nacho Libre a chance.
Okay.
Because I feel the same way about Jack Black. Very hit or miss. But the two greatest Jack Black movies are Nacho Libre and Be Kind Rewind.
I disagree.
Have you seen Be Kind Rewind?
I have.
You don't like that one?
Tropic Thunder is Jack
Oh.
Black's greatest.
Okay.
Is his
Okay.
Okay.
I forgot he was in that.
I will watch Tropic Thunder every so often because it is. I remember watching it in Iraq and laughing so hard. And then when I came home, and it was even funnier. Like, it is. There are still times where I watch that movie where I realize I missed something and laugh even harder. That movie is the pinnacle of, like, just First Amendment basic. Like, I mean, it's just
Yeah,
like, it's it is awesome.
Yeah. That's one that I have to rewatch again sometime
God,
soon
it's
because I have
so
not seen that one in a long time.
Oh, it is so good.
That is good, yeah.
You people, what do you mean, you people?
Dude, tend to be a dude.
This guy's another dude.
Well, wait, have you seen another good one actually with Jack Black? Is Tenacious D? And the
Yeah,
Wicked
I
Destiny?
love Tenacious.
Okay,
D,
okay,
yes.
okay.
In fact, it's funny you say that because Corey said something. She's like, yeah, a long ass fucking time ago. I said, a long ass fucking time ago in a town called Kickapoo. She's like looking at me. I'm like, oh, you know, so I played it for her. She's like, oh, I saw that a long time ago. I'm like, no, we're gonna listen to the whole thing.
Yeah,
the entire thing.
Oh, I was in a band in high school called Better Than Soup. Which there's a long story
Right.
behind the name. But we covered Tribute
Okay.
by Tenacious D. And that was one of the songs that we played at shows and stuff. It was a ton of fun.
God, Tenacious D is awesome. I will say that's one of his. Man, there are some movies I've seen him and I'm like, wow, this really sucks.
Yeah. Like, did you see the new Jumanji?
No.
I wouldn't bother.
There's only one Jumanji. Yeah, there's only one.
Yep. I agree. What else is he in that sucks balls?
Oh, there was one that Will Smith was in. Or not Will Smith. Will Ferrell. It was like Mia Maya Madre or something like that. It was terrible.
Oh, I don't even know
Yeah,
about that
it was
one.
terrible.
But I agree. And he's in the Minecraft movie. I haven't seen it yet.
He was in the Lego movie, and the Lego movie was fantastic.
Who did he play in the Lego movie?
He was the dad.
No, the dad was Will Ferrell.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm sorry. I
was talking about Jack Black.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. No, yeah. He was. Well, Will Ferrell is also hit and miss with me.
Yeah, very much so. Yes.
like Anchorman, oh yeah.
Talladega Nights. Fantastic.
See, Talladega Nights is another one. So
No!
okay, but to be fair, I have not seen it since it came out.
Oh man.
And
Dude, Talladega Nights is so quotable. Like just it is on par with Anchorman as far as I'm concerned.
Maybe I'll have to watch that one again.
Yeah. You have to watch the unrated extended version because that right there is the money one.
I do love Anchorman though.
Yes.
I
What do you think of the second one?
thought the second one was good too.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't as good as the first one. The first one was amazing.
Yeah. I think my favorite line from Anchorman is Steve Carell when they're like, beefing with the other news team, and he's like, "Where'd you get those clothes? The toilet store?" And they're all like, "Don't know what to say to that type of thing," And
My favorite. There was quite a few, but I think my favorite is, "I love lamp."
Do you really? Or are you just looking at things in the room and saying that you love them? No, I love lamp. I have an I love lamp sticker on.
Would you like to come to the pants party? Greg, did you mean the party? Yeah. Hey man, you want to come to the pants party? Okay.
Yeah, that's a good movie. I like that one.
60% of the time, it works every time.
Oh. I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Attention, everyone. Your attention, please. Cannonball.
Okay, I think maybe we should end this.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for listening or watching to the Minuteman Theory podcast. Get out there, exercise, make sure that your home, your car, and your person is secure. And what else, Ian?
Encryption. Use it if you know what I mean. Look at these different. Decide what's best for you, but look at these different. Platforms. Again, I recommend Signal, but that may not be the one for you. But keep prying eyes from prying. Prying eyes are not a good thing. If you don't want your neighbor looking in your windows and seeing what you're doing, then you don't want the shadow boogeyman looking in on what you're saying.
Yeah. All right. Well, until next time.